1842 Slave Revolt in the Cherokee Nation. The largest assembly of escaped enslaved Africans ripped through the Cherokee Nation, where in present day is called the Midwestern United States. November 15, 1842, a group of enslaved blacks owned by the Cherokee Indians escaped and tried to reach Mexico, where slavery had been abolished. During their migration to Mexico, the revolutionaries had threatened the security of established labor forces. A militia was formed to capture the runaways. The enslaved blacks, who were on the run, were able to overtake members of the militia and kill them, even though these enslaved African Americans never made it to Mexico. The revolution inspired subsequent slave rebellions throughout all of North America. The Baptist War of 1831, which was led by Jamaican Baptist preacher Samuel Sharp, was a 10-day revolt in which 60,000 of Jamaica's 300,000 enslaved population engaged in the conflict. During the Christmas holiday of 1831, Sharp recited a speech to tens of thousands of his followers, persuading them to stop working unless they receive pay for the labor. When the demands weren't met, the protest escalated into a full-scale revolt across the western part of Jamaica. The 60,000 men killed several plantation owners and burned several estates, with the Kensington estate being the most popular. The uprising caused $1,865,815.82 in damage, which equals an estimated $84,032,000 in modern terms. Samuel Sharp's Baptist War was the largest uprising in British West Indies history. Just a week after the war was over, the British Parliament began the process to abolish slavery. After months of debate, the Act for the Abolition of Slavery was passed in Jamaica in 1833. The Palmiers Quilombo. During slavery in Brazil, the enslaved Africans, or Maroons, who fought and escaped captivity, formed several sustainable states called Quilombos. The most famous Quilombo was Palmiers, an independent, self-sustaining republic near Recife, which was established in 1600 and survived for 100 years. Palmiers was massive, consisting of several settlements with a combined population of over 30,000 blacks who fought and escaped from slavery. Over the course of the century, Quilombo's Palmiers had armies which rescued other enslaved Africans from the plantations and brought them to Palmiers territory. The most popular Palmiers warriors leaders were Ganga Zumba and Zumbi. When the Dutch and the Portuguese repeatedly attacked the Palmiers trying to enslave the black people again, Zumba, Zumbi and the Palmiers warriors killed thousands of white soldiers, defeating the St. John insurrection. On November 23, 1733, African slave called Nkwamu, of the Akan people of Ghana, led one of the longest and most costly insurrections known to have occurred on U.S. soil. The revolt took place in St. John, Virgin Islands, where the Akwamas easily overwhelmed the owners and managers of the island's plantations. They took over a crucial military fort in Coral Bay, and with that they took control over most of the island. They had an ingenious plan. With the French nearly all wiped out, they resumed crop production under their control for their benefit. First Battle of Dongola. After the Arab military leader Amr ibn Alas conquered Egypt from the Byzantine Empire in 640, he sent troops to North Africa and Nubia. In 642, Amr ibn Alas sent a column formation of 20,000 horsemen under the leadership of his cousin, Uqba ibn Nafi, to conquer the Nubian kingdom of Maikaria. The Arabs reached as far as Dongola, the capital of Maikaria, before they suffered a major defeat by Maikarian warriors. According to historian al-Balaturi, the Arabs found that the Nubians fought strongly and met them with showers of arrows. The majority of the Arab forces returned with wounded and blinded eyes. It was thus that the Nubians were called "the pupil smiters." Al-Balaturi recalls one of his sources saying, "One day they came out against us and formed a line. We wanted to use swords, but we were not able to, and they shot at us and put out eyes too. The number of 150. The Nubian victory at Dongola was one of the Rashidun Caliphate's rare defeats during the mid-7th century. Having archers with deadly marksmanship and highly skilled and experienced cavalry forces, Makaria was able to force the Arabs to withdraw their forces from Nubia. The Black Seminole Slave Rebellion from 1835 to 1838 in Florida. The Black Seminoles, African allies of Seminole Indians, led the largest slave rebellion in U.S. history. The uprising peaked in 1836 when hundreds of enslaved Africans fled their plantations to join the rebel forces in the Second Seminole War. At the height of the revolt, at least 385 enslaved Africans fought alongside the Indian Seminole allies to destroy more than 21 sugar plantations in central Florida from December 25, 1835 through to the summer of 1836. At the time, sugar was the most valuable crop and Florida was the most highly developed agricultural region in North America. The destruction of Florida plantations was reported to have cost the U.S. untold millions. In 1838, the U.S. Army allowed 500 blacks to move west with Seminole Indians. Half received promises of freedom, the only emancipation of revolutionary blacks in the U.S. before the Civil War. Guinea-Bissau War of Independence in January 1964, the Marxist African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, PAIG, retaliated against their colonial oppressors by attacking the Portuguese headquarters in Tite. Resistance quickly spread across the entire colony, sparking the Guinea-Bissau War of Independence, a bloody conflict which would eventually be labeled Portugal's Vietnam. The war between the well-trained and well-led PAIG guerrillas and the Portuguese army would prove to be the most intense and damaging of all the conflicts that occurred during the Portuguese colonial wars. Despite Portugal ratcheting up its offensive posture with troop reinforcements, superior weaponry and divide-and-conquer techniques, the PAIG continued to increase its strength and dealt several severe blows to the Portuguese defense forces. A coup in Portugal on August 26, 1974, also helped the PAIG's fight for independence. On August 26, 1974, the new Portuguese leaders and the PAIG signed an accord in Algeria, in which Portugal agreed to remove all troops by the end of October and to officially recognize the PAIG-controlled government of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau.